just finding interesting samples and sounds that just keep it more like...
That's like hours of just like, but it doesn't feel like hours because I really enjoy it.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians.
One little thing I like to do actually is I've got this like hat here, which is just, I don't even know what it is, but as a separate kind of, on another audio track, I've got the same hat but running through like a vocoder, and you can set that to noise and mess with the release. And it just adds movement a little bit. So I've still got the other hat underneath, but it just little things like that just you don't necessarily notice. But I like doing that quite a lot with a lot of my tunes. Other parts of the drums, I mean, it's just built up of lots of different one-shots, really. There's this clap, which is layered with these. They're just all little sounds that...
Do you know what you would start with? Like if you've got your sample, your vocal sample, and then you're thinking, right, what am I going to put to that?
Well, what I'll often do is I'll start with I'll often start with like a drum break or something that has like the groove that I want. That's like, okay, this is the feeling, and then I'll kind of recreate the groove with one shots myself. So like I probably will have found a 4 to the floor loop that's just easy, and I can slot in and I can go, right, that's the right groove, because it's a faff to kind of build the whole thing and then be like, oh, this actually isn't even right. So if you can just get the right groove first, then you go, okay, cool, that's the template, and then from there I can kind of get rid of that but rebuild that drum loop but with more interesting one shots. I do that quite a lot. So I'm not totally sure what I did with this, but that's something that I would do a lot, and just build it up from there, and then just add like, I mean, there's a little rim thing. I just finding interesting samples and sounds that just keep it more like, it's just lots of different things happening. But yeah, I would very often do that. I would start with I would start with the key components, like the vocal, and then add the chords around it, which is what I did with this, and then add a drum loop, and then make that drum loop, well, get rid of it, but make more interesting drums following that groove. Yeah. That's kind of often.
And is there a set way of approaching that? You know, have you got a go-to, kick drum that you always use, or a go-to snare sound? Or I'm not saying you should.
I don't, to be honest with you. Like I it's not really. I kind of wish that I did. It would be a bit easier, but I don't. I just like finding little random sounds and whatever kind of works. I mean, to be completely honest, I think like the drum programming side of things is not necessarily where I think my sort of strengths lie. Actually, it's kind of the thing that I've always struggled with more. I find it like, some people are amazing at it, and like it's something that I find a little bit more difficult, like layering. So much of it's just about layering, and like layering like one shots and sounds, and just to get that depth. And that's something that I find a little bit more difficult. I think it takes me, because what happens with me is I usually start with all the other ideas, like the melodic parts and the vocal or the hook. And I think that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm better at, is like coming up with a hook or an idea. But then to build the production around it, it takes me longer. And I just don't have the attention span to sit with it. Like I get so bored. Like I find it hard to just sit there and go, right, okay, let's dig in on this snare and just faff about. And I'm trying to get better at that. And I'm definitely better at it than I used to be, but it just doesn't come as naturally to me, because by the time I've kind of got the main components of the tune, I'm ready to be bored. Like I'm on to the next thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't usually spend that long on, this was a bit of an anomaly, because the fact that I couldn't clear the sample meant I was kind of forced to just keep tweaking it, because 6 months later I'd go, I could produce this better now, and then it just kept. But typically I don't really spend very long on things, and I think a lot of the time when you're really trying to hone in on just getting drums sounding super tight, or just those one shots really, like the clarity or whatever it is you want from it, that takes a lot of time and attention that I just feel like I can't be bothered with.
Yeah.
So,
you'd rather move on and do something else. This episode is being supported by our good friends at Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then as far as we're concerned, switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. It's free, and there are a load of features you won't find on Apple's Voice Memos app, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, include photos of settings, and you can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So head to the link below to install the app now. And if you want even more, check out Tape It Pro and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off. And now, back to the episode.
I think with percussion as well, just getting, if I solo the percussion here,
It's great, yeah.
that's with like, kick's not there obviously, but that's like hours of just like, but it doesn't feel like hours because I really enjoy it. And, you know, it's just finding what, you know, beautiful stuff that goes together. But this is all very nice and textured, and it's not just like this thing, you know, it's got different frequencies there. It's kind of got like a high up triangle, and it's got some more like, I think maybe conga-y stuff, and, you know, and claps. As like I do like recordings of myself just like clapping and then layer that on and stuff like that, which is...
And is it a loop, or is it constantly changing and you've evolved it?
That, I mean, it's pretty much a loop. I think we evolve. I think in this tune, percussion does evolve in other tunes, I think, but I think for this one, the focus wasn't really on the percussion. This is more...
I think there's enough going on as well. It's one of those things where, like, it depends how busy your tune is. Like, if it's quite simple and quite stripped back, like, changing a hi-hat could feel massive, but like, with this, with so many melodic elements, it's like, it probably wasn't even really necessary. It was more just about having something to hold a groove and to kind of provide that texture, which is like... But I think that was built up of, like, lots of different chops and like, vinyl rips and stuff, was it not? Or
yeah, there's I think there's a few bits. I mean, it's so complicated. Whenever I go back into a file, that's just like hundreds.
You can do this one.
Yeah. I think there was like, there's a plugin called Life. I don't think I've actually used it on this, but I always use a plugin called Life, which you can just chuck any like vinyl rip in there, and it sort of automatically chops stuff. But this project has lived in like 3 or 4 different sessions, so I may have done stuff in other sessions and bounced quite often just to save CPU load. I do that, so a lot of this is like almost printed audio, like almost stems and then resampling again and again. Kind of just gives you that a bit more control. But yeah, I think there's just a lot of like nice loops. I mean, this I think is Life. So that just little thing I think would have just been like a little vinyl loop, and then Life kind of just spits out loops of in time, and they're a little bit, you know, it's not perfect, but when it's layered, you know, with so many other things, it's just little bits that aren't totally obvious, but as a whole, it doesn't then sound like some MIDI drums. Basically, you're just trying to get as far away from sounding like MIDI drums and as possible, I think.
Yeah.